Hello. So, Donald Trump has won the US election. America has been trumped. Couldn't resist the pun, of course. And so has Hillary Clinton been trumped, actually. And what are we to make of it? Is it good news? Is it bad news? This is my reaction to the result. Now, I'm a Brit. I don't vote in America. Never been there. Wouldn't mind visiting, obviously, but and I haven't been following the election very closely because 18 months of shenanigans, it was just too much for anyone. I think it's ridiculous. So I'm more interested in the result and what happens after that. It's until it happens, it's not news as far as I'm concerned. So finally, there's a result. And a lot of people are very upset and very scared, and even over here as well. I saw a poll, and it showed that 72%, I think it was, of Labour voters, that is left-wing voters, if you like, the British equivalent of Democrats, classified themselves as terrified that Donald Trump was now the president. But only 46% of Conservatives, that's, if you like, Republican-style voters over here, were terrified. I'm not terrified. A little apprehensive, but I'm not terrified, I think. In fact, I'm moderately pleased. And I'll explain why. But clearly, a lot of people in America are horrified at the result. And I understand, but I feel that people are being misled by the media. And I'll talk about that a bit. And they're horrified because they think he's a xenophobic bigot and racist and all the rest of it. And I feel that that's unfair, basically. We'll have to wait and see, really, before we know what he's like. So let's hope he's not as bad as people fear. I think he might be good for America. Better than Hillary. I think there's no doubt that Hillary is a military hawk, and that America would end up getting involved in even more big adventures, which would probably rope Britain in as well, because we're allies, and we seem to go along with everything almost. And America has been winding up the tension against Putin, along with their stooges, the EU, trying to take over the Ukraine and get it to join the EU and NATO. Obviously, Putin's not going to put up with that, and he didn't. But with another hawk in the White House, things might have gone too far. We don't know. So, we now don't have a hawk, we have a dove of sorts. The one he's got on his head, I think. Why did people vote for Trump? I mean, I suppose we have to ask them ultimately, but I'm thinking in my mind about the Brexit vote, where a shock result again. The polls showed that Brexit would lose, but Brexit won. People were not telling the pollsters the whole truth. Also, the pollsters' demographics were probably a bit biased. And those two things together meant the polls were wrong. In the end, I think Hillary Clinton won only about 16 states out of 50. I mean, she got the majority of the votes, actually, of individual votes, but because of the way the blocks are apportioned, it's kind of a first-past-the-post system by state. Trump won. We have a first-past-the-post system here by constituency in Britain, so we have the same thing. A party can get more votes and still lose. It's hard to know how to arrange these things so they're totally fair, but the states are independent countries in a way, and so they need their individual views need to be respected. So anyway, that's how it worked. But why did they vote for him? Why didn't they tell the pollsters? Obviously they weren't telling the pollsters because they would be accused of being xenophobic bigots, racists, Islamophobics, sexists, you know, all that the media were going on. They risked losing their jobs in some cases if they actually let on that they would vote for Trump. So, in fact, it just led to a surprise result, I think. And why did they vote for him? Well, looking at Brexit, I kind of feel it's the same, roughly. For a long, long time, the so-called democratic governments in the West, and they are sort of democratic, I mean, you wouldn't have got a Trump otherwise, have been ignoring the electorate, actually. So we vote for change we can believe in, and it doesn't happen again and again and again. Because as soon as the people get in power, they just make laws to suit their corporate masters. The American government is particularly blatantly controlled by the corporates. The British one is too, largely. And the European one is too. Lobbyists lobby for laws which favour big business and which harm small business, their competitors. Lots and lots of small businesses are closed. Small farms in America, gone. And going. Same over here, really. There used to be lots of independent manufacturers of vitamin tablets, I can remember. I've spoken about this before in other videos, in Brexit videos. And the big pharmaceuticals and big chains lobbied the European Commission to say we should regulate this market. The vitamins should be tested. The vitamins should be in certain size bottles. The pills should be of certain sizes. The labelling should be a certain way. And so all these laws were passed, which the small companies could not afford to adapt to. They'd have to buy new machinery, new factories practically. They'd have to refit the whole business. So when that law came in, I watched all these independent brands of vitamin tablets just disappear from the shelves over the course as they sold out. That was it, gone. Now you go into a place like Holland and Barrett and it's pretty much their own stuff, basically. In terms of vitamin tablets, you've got the brand and that's it. There's no choice anymore. This is what the big corporates want, monopoly. And they do it through regulation. Talking about health and safety and all this, it's rubbish. It's just a way of manipulating the markets to suit themselves. And governments go along with it because it suits them too. The politicians get kickbacks, or they get future careers in the industries as consultants or something, you know. And I think in Britain with Brexit people were fed up with just being ignored and the laws being made not for them. And I think in the USA it's the same, more so even, I would say. That in the USA it's like corruption is part of the system. The lobbying over there is endemic, and unless you're super rich you're not going to get anything to happen, really. You get the occasional bit of a person who can make some noise if the media pick it up, but of course they are a big corporate themselves effectively. So I see this vote as a protest against the establishment, basically, and a last chance, probably, for the electorate of America to take back control of their government. If Donald Trump doesn't succeed, or if he's assassinated, then the corporates will rule the world in the end, I think. And small business will be locked out. It'll become a kind of a fascism, where instead of the government controlling the businesses will control the governments. But it's still a kind of a fascist system. So, in a way, I see this as America's last chance. It's still scary as heck to a lot of people because Donald Trump, yes, he's a questionable character, but in a way that's partly what helped him to get in, because he was able to outfox the media by saying different things on different days, contradicting himself, saying outrageous things. They could only slag him off so much, okay, before it becomes just noise. And they can't tell whether he's telling the truth, whether he's lying, what his views are exactly. He's a postmodern person, pick and mix type of president, I think. And the media is kind of expecting a traditional person who tries to tell the truth all the time, or at least tries to pretends they're telling the truth all the time, and so you can catch them out when they don't. But with Donald Trump, there's no pretense there. Okay, he's just lying and just saying whatever people want to hear, whatever he needs to say, and that's it. Take it or leave it. Well, you're going to take it now. And he probably wouldn't have been able to get in without doing that, without bamboozling the media, because they hated him, really. I mean, I know we've had anti-democracy protests in America since the vote, as we had anti-democracy protests in Britain after Brexit. Well, I'm calling them anti-democracy because we've had an election, okay. Or you have. And it's really, I suppose, unfair to them. They're anti-racist because people are scared. The media has been accusing Donald Trump of xenophobia, racism, Islamophobia, homophobia, sexism, and even outright allegations of sexual assault and rape, which appear to be false. And I think the media should be sued by him for these false allegations, if that's what they are. They need to be held accountable for bringing up unfounded, unprovable allegations during an election. It's outrageous, actually. They should be allowed to publish what they like, but they should be legally liable for it, for slander, or what's the other word when they publish it, you know. So we'll see. I don't know if he'll go for it. I would if I was him. But in a way, all these false allegations and name callings helped, because it made the Democrats, it made the Clinton camp complacent, I think. She didn't even bother to campaign in Pennsylvania and Michigan, which would normally, I suppose, have gone her way. I don't know, but anyway, Trump won them. And in Wisconsin, I think it was the rural areas that voted heavily for Trump. He won something like 29% of the Hispanic vote, quite a bit of the black vote. They don't seem to think he's racist. People can see through the media lies. There's something perhaps about the left-wingers in this country, and perhaps in America too, they're more inclined towards name-calling rather than arguments. And the vast amount of name-calling in this election, I think, has obscured did obscure what was going on. And so now you can live with the consequences. Next election, try and fight it fairly, with actual arguments. And there's a lot of hypocrisy, actually. I've noticed that a lot of actors are saying, right, I'm off, I'm going to Canada. The Canadian High Commission website, or whatever it was, crashed when Trump won, because so many people were thinking, I'm going to Canada, I'm going to Canada. He's a racist. Well, isn't it strange that they're going to nice white Canada? Not sunny brown Mexico or Brazil. There's something. The word hypocrisy comes to mind, and I have to say I think any actor that moves to Canada because of Trump, to me, I will strongly suspect hypocrisy, I'm afraid. If they're moving because they think Trump is a racist bigot, but they're going to white Canada, which is like USA 2, that doesn't seem... Why didn't the Mexican website crash? What about France or England? I suppose there'll be some who will come here. And, you know, obviously it's a fair decision, but it's just suspicious that everybody wants to go to... Everybody who's afraid of this racism actually wants to go to a white country. Dodgy, I think. So, what happens if Trump fails to deliver change? What happens if he can't block corporate America from running the country? What can people do? This, I think, is America's last best hope of reclaiming their democracy. They've got a madman in the White House, or so it seems, or at least a maverick, a billionaire corporate type himself, but one who's for many, many years been complaining about the way America is run and the corporate system, actually, and is fully aware of the way the laws are made to harm small businesses, mom and pop shops, things like that, and has said many times that he wants to put an end to that. How he can do it, I don't know, without risking his life, because you have a history of assassinating maverick presidents. Kennedy, Lincoln, let's face it. He'd better watch out, I think. He's going to make... He already has a huge number of enemies. Well, if he can't produce real change in the American system of government, actually I think he should make that lobbying system illegal, or change the way it works dramatically so that only individuals can lobby and not corporations and companies, because the electorate are individuals and they are the ones who should be influencing government. What if he doesn't introduce it? What if he can't bring it on? What if Congress is too bored and won't let it happen? I think the only option thereafter will be non-cooperation. No more voting. Forget it. The system is corrupt. Don't participate anymore. That could force change as well. So if Trump doesn't succeed, I would recommend never voting again until the system is changed. Brexit has to succeed in this country too. It'll break us out of the EU corporate system. We have our own British one, but the British Parliament is kind of semi-responsive to the electorate. So we're somewhere in between. But in America, really, your country is washed up if you don't get the change this time, I think. He wants to make America great again. If he fails, America will decline inevitably and forever, I think. And don't believe all the media hype and anti-Trump rubbish. It's the Matrix, yes, and I think enough people saw through all those lies to get him in. So now he's there. Let's hope he can make real change and save your country and the world for true democracy. Bye for now. Leave your comments below. Like, subscribe, and all that, you know, stuff. That's the drill, right? Okay. Bye for now.